Greetings, Soul Tribe. My name is Alejandra Sophia, and this is Star Power Alchemy YouTube. I am tuning in to the week ahead of May 6th to May 12th, 2019. We are in a week of the first week following the new moon in Taurus. The new moon came into its seed point on May 4th at 3:35 p.m. and I'm tuning in from Monday the 6th. So we're inside of these beginning feelings of something new really getting seeded at this time and coming into something really new and fresh, and could also feel a little disarming as well, because it is like a 180-degree turn in a new direction. And so I want to tune into that. So this first week from May 6th until May 12th, in this first quarter moon, the first quarter moon is a really self-developmental time. It's what's in this quadrant of the quarterly wheel of the moon phases, in which the moon travels from new moon until the next new moon. There are 4 quarters, and so in this it's a 4-quarter phase, and so in this first quarter there's this a quality of in-breathing and turning inwards to ground in the moon phase. The new moon until half moon waxing is a building, manifesting, working on something internally that initiated through the new moon. And so we are internalizing, we are seeding through a Taurus lunar wave spell of 29 days. And please, check out my other videos in the descriptions. I have 2 new moon Taurus videos, and one was with a co-host and another astrologer and dear friend, and another one was my own attunement to it. So I recommend all the videos that I have in my description to really pulse into and help break open what this time is. So for this week of May 6th, there are May 6th to May 12th, the first quarter moon, which the moon comes into its second quarter on Saturday the 11th. We start off on Monday with the moon in Gemini. So the moon's going to move from moon in Gemini until moon in Leo. And this is while we're in-breathing, while we're in an internal time of seeding something new that wants to be simplified. And Taurus is the basics. Taurus is your own basic essence. And so with all the energies that we have right now in this year of 2019, and the primary thing, one of the primary impulses that's happening is that we're in a Saturn-Pluto conjunction. And with this new moon, it's the first new moon of 2019 in which the Saturn and Pluto are freshly retrograded. So they all retrograded, Saturn and Pluto retrograded about 8 days, 10 to 5 days before the new moon, something like that. So the new moon in Taurus. And so there's a real internal earthy feeling right now. We've got a dominance of earth energies, and especially with today, May 6th, the Mercury moving from Aries into the sign of Taurus. So you might have had a heated morning, or there might have been some tumultuousness to this morning, or something coming to a head this morning on May 6th, with Mercury reaching the final degree of Aries. And there's been a lot of finality in these last few months, and especially with going back to the full moon. The last full moon we had was at the final degree of LiBRA. I pronounce LiBRA for all my newcomers listening to me for the first time. And with that full moon, the full moon is always in opposition, and that the full moon was embracing the light of the Aries sun, which was at 30 degrees Aries. So with Mercury this morning on May 6th, after seeding the new moon chart, so the new moon chart does have Mercury in Aries for this whole month. So there's going to be heat to this month. There is going to be a lot of heat to this month. And this week, this is how with how the heat got initiated. There's now a turning inwards, an ever more feeling of turning inwards with, because that's what happens with Taurus. the soul awakening in Taurus, the earth rumbling inside saying, I need peace, I need calm, I need to release stress, I need the earth, I need to reduce. There's a lot of necessity for reduction and for ending things that aren't working. And it's specifically through the energy body. It's your own energy body with Chiron and Aries right now. And as we're proceeding in this new time, and one of the ways that this time is pinpointed, is illuminated, is through Chiron in Aries. We are in a time of Uranus and Taurus, freshly and fully in the sign of Taurus, and we are in the time of Chiron freshly and fully in the sign of Aries. And I say fully because in 2018, both those planets did go into that sign that I just mentioned, Taurus and Aries, but they retrograded back into the previous sign. So 2018 was definitely a lot of shifting gears into new directions. And so now 2019, and especially right now through with May and onward, there's a real grounding in happening, a real grounding in, sort of settling and going, okay, all right. Assessing, but it's less about assessing, because I feel like we've been assessing, and now it's just a time of letting go and releasing what needs to be let go of, so that you can, what wants to happen is breadth, and in the breadth is depth, and in the depth is creating more of a energetic in which there's more calm, there's more natural, there's not, maybe even less excitement, like being happy with what you have, and cultivating simple threads in your spirituality, so that you can have a basic sense of connection to the moment unfolding in every minute. So that second by second, minute by minute essence of self, of you with yourself, that's really the highlight right now, of like, I need to heal this connection. I need to stay in connection with myself. And what do I need to reduce in my life? Because I'm done with crazy, and I'm done with this madness, and I'm done with this madness of being separate from myself. And the ahas, the thing with Taurus is there's such a lovely groundedness in Taurus, and Taurus doesn't care about anything else. On the real essence of Taurus, it just wants a basic, good, sensual connection with the here and now. So, how you are in your environment, make those adjustments. If there's any adjustments to be made in your environment, is one, go outside a lot more, really open up your sensual body, your energy body to, the sky, the nature, trees, wherever you're at, even if you're in a big city, like make room for it, create nature, bring nature in your home. What you're streaming, you can use YouTube, you can stream lovely rivers and birds, and just create nature in your home, because FYI, the Taurus live stream is here to remind everyone to bring yourself back home to yourself, just by taking a deep breath and landing in and opening up to the nature that you are. We are nature. We are living, alchemical, multi-dimensional elemental beings, and nature is accessible within our own heart, and within our own body, consciously creating your connection to home, and reinforcing yourself and your environment with nature, and the things that soothe you, the things that calm you, that engage your parasympathetic nervous system, and all the accompanying lovely cocktails of neurotransmitters that are here to support you inwardly as you really form that base connection with yourself and say, no, I will not sacrifice this anymore. Because that's what Taurus is really getting amplified right now, with the Saturn and Pluto freshly retrograde, everything turning inward, whatever phase of life that you're at, whatever year, whatever time you're at, whether you're in your 20s, your 30s, your 40s, or 50s, onward into your 80s and 90s. There's this feeling of, with something just getting resolved, reduced, to shift something new into gear that cannot be sacrificed any longer. And these are the essentials. So there's a larger macro collective shift happening right now, and it needs to happen through individuals. And with us, with each individual, we form our relationships. And so these ponds, we are a pond inwardly as you nurture your sanctuary inside. Taurus is the sanctuary, and you create and make those adjustments, those conscious adjustments with your daily diet of what you listen to, of what you eat, of what you put into your eyes, of what you're smelling, of what you're looking at. Taurus absolutely is an artist in that it's the sensuality connecting into your sensual body to bring more of that soothing. It's the call of nature. It's the call of the wild. And so that wild nature inside of you in this modern hominoid body, just to bring in all the elements. So there's a real grounding in this week, and being that we're this first quarter moon within the Taurus new moon wave pulse, seed pulse, is this calling to your inner sanctuary and making the adjustments, down to what you wear. What you wear is your sensual body. So throw out the things that make you feel less than, that don't make you feel full and alive. And that's an important teaching, that how you decorate. These are not mundane things. This is not overly materialistic. And we all have our own style, but there's a style of nature of dialing in to bring in these elements through color schematic and natural schematics with modern elements. And if you could be a person who's like, I'm done, I'm gonna go build a tree house and I'm gonna go live in the tree. It could be something like that, or I'm gonna go spend more time outside. And I went and laid in a creek yesterday I've never laid in a creek, or it's been a long time, maybe since I was a little girl, just laying there and for a moment, not too long, but just to do things like that is you coming home to your body and feeling the elements. There's a real call for that. So I encourage you to heed that call in any way that you're feeling that. So as the sun proceeds in the sign of Taurus this week, it's going to be making a lovely trine to Saturn in Capricorn, and that's going to be on Saturday the 11th. So this whole week, there's sort of this building feeling of, kind of grounding in with what is. Acceptance is a powerful Taurian feeling. Acceptance, so that you can also make room, a lot of room, make big room for gratitude. Gratitude, have a gratitude practice, establish a gratitude practice. This is a great week for moving things out of the way that do not serve your health and happiness on the long term, and letting go, releasing of short-term gratification, and really putting down the modern world in a way of that's like, I'm not sacrificing my fucking soul for culture anymore and the cultural mind. That's just the way I feel it. So what are those changes that you need to make to be like, if I think I'm going to become a tree hugger because that actually soothes my soul. So those kinds of revolts, and I say that because of Uranus and Taurus. Uranus and Taurus, there's always a revolt going on in Uranus. And the thing with Uranus is the awakener that wants to awaken us up fully, each one of us, the human, up in our human body, our human potential. It's an igniter for the spirit to wake up in the body. So that's your own third eye, super consciousness. It's consciousness advancing and pulsing. So in the sign of Taurus, there's this great return to God. There's been all this evolution. I mean, you can even I'm looking back not only just in my own life, but in my ancestral life of who I am in my own journey of my family, and how in a certain way I'm a leading consciousness, because we're all born. When we're born, first we're seeded at conception. We're first seeded in conception when the egg and sperm come together. Boom, there is a seed right there, and there's even a conception chart, an astrological chart. And then we spend those 9 months or so, more or less, in gestation, an important spiritual tunnel that we go through from coming out of these greater realms and into this life, in this incarnation. And then we're born to our chart, and we're born to our mission and purpose. Whether or not we actually find it and locate it, and how you locate it is through activating your soul and waking yourself up spiritually. And that's what Uranus and Taurus is doing, is really waking up people's soul, because Taurus is the soul of the earth. Taurus is the Venus. I mean, when you think of Taurus, think of Venus, the planet, the goddess of love, Ishtar and Inanna. These are the Sumerian, the ancient goddesses, at least the ones that are spoken of, the most ancient ones that are spoken of in our common culture, in a common language, of these ancient representatives of love and paradise. And the keeper, Inanna, Ishtara, and Venus, they're the keepers of paradise. And in the spiritual human body, it's the love channel. It's your heart. It's your fourth chakra pouring in like a fountain into your second chakra. The second chakra, a moon, it's a crescent moon that contains that holds the love and wisdom of, in the Akashic records of your own personal, you personally coming into being born into the mythology of this planet. You are a child in this universe, and you are forever a child, no matter what, no matter how adult you get. You are always a child, and you are always a grandchild, and we are the living greatest grandchildren on planet Earth. We are the most descended upon planet Earth. And that's an aspect that Uranus and Taurus really wants to awaken, is our spiritual birthright, and to wake up to it on a deep emotional level as well, that brings us back into our senses and connection. Because what Uranus and Taurus wants to heal is the disconnection. And that's, if you're feeling that right now, it's like, I am done wasting my life. I'm done wasting my time doing this. I'm done spending too much time in stress like that. And now I've had enough time with myself to see, or the things I'm learning, the things that I'm listening to, the inner messages. So it's a combination of learning on the outside and hearing other people, maybe, and most importantly, it's also listening to the inner messages inside. So there's a real wanting to return to intuition and connect to the inner messages. And with this new moon blueprint chart, there's a strong pulse to remember your dream and to remember your mission. So bringing it back to that, the inside of Taurus, in your own Taurus, is this you connecting with your mission and your purpose. And it could be as simple as like, I just want to climb mountains, or I just want to to really feel your body and what your body wants to do. It's like, I just want to play. I've always loved doing this, or I've always wanted to do that, and give yourself more play. Taurus wants to help you access your play, your wild child, and that original feeling that you felt and may have lost, and likely did. And a lot of us have lost that feeling, that childlike feeling of play, in a way that is natural and good for us to keep in connection with that, so that we can really connect into the living life is a play. It's meant to play. Even as we mature and we create new structures, there's still a sense of play can be held. So that's what the sun forming a trine with Saturn and Capricorn. It's more like you're making a deal with yourself, saying, yeah, I can be mature and childlike at the same time. I can be in my integrity and full of play at the same time. They're not these alternate realities anymore. So there's a real wanting to merge play with your immaturity and your integrity. And if that makes any sense to you, it's more of like, I'm done. There's also a retiring of ideas around what being adult is, and so there's a real, because Saturn and Pluto are doing what they're doing, which is crashing through. They're making, for those of us, or ones who are willing to really question ideologies and saying, what is it to live? What is the meaning of life? What is it for me? What do I want? I get to be here. I get to fully be here. I get to have the deepest and most fulfilling experience. And if you're of life, and if you're opening up to that, this is a time of great receptivity to yourself and the inner messages. And it's the soul of the earth that's Gaia Sophia is calling, saying, come, play in my oceans, play, but not just play, create, because there is a mission in our blueprint that wants to create heaven on earth. And so we do need to work. Work is part of our blueprint, but the way work wants to really be met is through play. It's through the maturing of your own little child who wants to learn how to advance yourself in your skills, but don't lose a sense of play. It actually all is play. It matures itself and it gets more refined, and the skills get more highly crafted, and that's beautiful to come into mastery of a skill, but don't lose a sense of play. Those are the inner messages I'm getting, and I've held an intention. My intention for this new moon is to feel a sense, to throw out, I'm working and I'm building a business, and just say I'm playing, and to really help me rewire a new language and a feeling of connection to I'm always at play, no matter what. Even cleaning can be playful. That I'm never not doing something that's cutting me off from my source. So to stay in connection to my own source. So these are all the primary energies of this week, with that being a really strong aspect of the sun trining Saturn in Capricorn, that's really wanting to help tone everything into more simplicity. That's tonify. That's what I mean. Kind of tonify simplicity. And Venus is going to be making some strong aspects, the 7th through the 9th, to Saturn and Pluto. So there's some revolution in relationships and how you're showing up in relationships, and how you're in a shift in there somewhere with how you're showing up in relationships. Because what I see here, Venus in Aries is sort of like this. So my visual that I'm getting is I'm thinking of, in terms of the Tarot deck, is the Princess of Wands. She's kind of wild and wants to be free and independent. And now she's coming up against Saturn and Capricorn, and there's sort of this whoa, coming up against reality. There's a maturation happening with relationships and love. Okay, so there is this. It feels like to me there's this letting go, acceptance of reality, but it's not a compromise of your own channel. Nothing's going to get compromised. Those basic places that need to be can't be compromised anymore. And that's my cat trying to get out of the room right now. I'm going to have to wrap this up in a moment. So that's the main thing with Pluto, and Venus comes into a square with Saturn and Pluto. The 7th and the 9th, but there's also a trine that Venus makes to Jupiter. I'm looking at my little map here, and so there feels like a feeling of freedom as well, a freedom with choice and love, and getting to love and love in the ways that you want to love. So your activities, the things that you love to do, and how you like to relate, and how you like to be in the world, and also coming into acceptance with reality and being like, all right, I'm willing to work with this, and I don't have to see it as I don't have it anymore. I can actually see it more from a long-term, because Pluto and Saturn have just turned inward, there's submitting yourself to a timeline and saying, okay, I can give this more time, because now I've really got some goods that are great, and I do have love, and I do have my freedom, and I do have an amazing partner, or oh my God, I actually do have all these elements. And because of a main thing I see as the flower of life within Taurus is gratitude and appreciation. So as you cultivate gratitude and appreciation, beauty gets birthed. And so that's where I see Venus and Aries as a ruler of this new moon in this first week. There's this real oh my gosh, coming home to yourself and saying, I am free. I actually am free in all my choices, and I don't want to sacrifice important things anymore. And so there feels to me making some deals this week, and with oneself most importantly, and potentially relationships, and new agreements that are profound and important, because there is a shift in consciousness and awareness. So yeah, so that's the first week. My cat totally freed himself. He's walking into the room right now. So my clever little Sancho, who's able to literally open the door. Open the handle. So there's something there with Venus freeing herself and having the knowledge and awareness. My cat has the knowledge and awareness of how to open the door to get himself out of the room, right? This is real. So this is moving from, there we go, moving from codependence to maybe over independence and then back into interdependence. That's what's happening. That's what I feel is happening. Because oftentimes when we've been in codependence, so if any of you who are listening, and I'm also feeling it for myself as well, of like, right, if you've been in a lifetime of codependence, you want to break free of that. You might have had a moment, you might have gone crazy, just mad with like, oh my God, I've got to get out of this situation and I got to break free. And so the wild child and you could have been like, I'm breaking free. And now because of the time you've had, and you've got that energy out, and maybe you're having another experience that's just like kind of making you stop or whatever. There's just something with like moving now into interdependence because the other polarity got to get lived for a little while, like just going into in a sort of a extreme version of independence, if that makes sense, independence to go into now to move into interdependence. Because so that feels really significant for this week of coming into relationships in a new way. And everything that we had to go through in the last few months. And I'm definitely thinking of myself right now of like some key relationships in which I just things really came to a head in the last couple of weeks, and that are shifting me inside of myself to make me look at myself a little more closely and in really good ways, and that are helping me come into more balance, more rhythm and interdependence. So that's a really beautiful thing. And I appreciate my cat. That was the wind closing the door. Okay, we're all working together here. I think that's another way of really coming into Taurus, is as you allow yourself to really sink into reality and the multidimensionality of this moment and your sensuality and all of your senses, because it's not just 5 senses, it's like 8 senses. When you think of clairvoyance, because that's how we hear the inner messages, and our clairaudio and clairvoyance, to be able to see, and all the superpowers that we really engage. There's like 8 senses, 8 or 9, I'm sure of that. And excuse me, my little nose itch. And so we are working together in a living field. And how can you be more in heartfelt love, your love channel open to yourself to really embody? Because that's the mission right now, is to embody real-time authenticity and self-love that allows you to love and embrace and appreciate everyone around you. And so that's really a big thing to this week, is like love and appreciation wants to open up. And again, the new moon is ruled by Venus. So whatever the journey that Venus is on this month is really important. And this week, it's a coming home to oneself. That's at least one way of. And if you're in fighting mode, there could be some friction in relationships if there's still stubbornness and the levee hasn't broken inside, because there's a real wanting to come into a meeting ground. And in order to come into that authentic meeting ground, we have to be able to listen to each other and hear each other, and also speak the truth, because then that's when we land in each other's Tauruses. And I'm sure we've all, I know I've had those experiences that when the truth is spoken and we're open to it, something lands and connects inwardly. So that's where I see how if we're all aligned in our inner connected to our Taurian life stream, to our Taurus inner terrain, that deep authenticity and simplicity, and not wanting to make anybody be anything that you want them to be through projection. It's just kind of just evening the playing field and just grounding in to really connect in with who you need most, and who you need most is yourself. And that's how relationships get essentialized, because we need relationships just as much as we need ourselves. And that's a big one. So here we go for this week. And please subscribe to my channel if you're a newcomer, and reach out to me for readings at starpoweralchemy@gmail.com, and check out all my videos in the description. Thanks so much for watching. Until next week, and watch for new videos coming soon this week. Much love.